Hello, Steve. Hello, Joe. It's time to game classy.
Hello.
There we are. Very good.
Yes.
I had to press an additional button to start speaking.
What? Buttons?
I know. There's so many buttons.
Before we start today, though, I do have I want to put a disclaimer that I may have to pause our recording. I'm having appliance issues at home, and I had to call some repair people. And of course, my appliance issues always have to happen at like 9 o'clock at night on a Saturday, so that it happens. So I have to call on a Sunday when no one is available to come in and fucking take care of it.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's a look, I don't, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't necessarily say that people should be working on a Sunday. However, I am prepared to compensate for people to work on Sunday if necessary.
Right. Yeah. An on-call thing for
Yeah.
that kind of situation would be useful.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like I'm not like boomer, like you know how boomers are like, how come people don't want to work anymore? It's like, no, I completely
Nobody wants to work anymore.
I'm very millennial in that it's like, I know this is a big inconvenience to work on a Sunday, but I am prepared to compensate you for your work on a Sunday.
The nobody wants to work anymore narrative is really funny. I read a very large Twitter thread about that, and that the nobody wants to work anymore narrative is I think he said basically since newspapers existed, that is the narrative that the ruling class has pushed.
Yeah.
So it's like from the 1800s, y'all.
Well, I mean, I was just reading a book. I was reading a book on the French Revolution where they were talking about the birth of the conservative movement, where basically conservatism kind of started in revolutionary France when all of the priests and like nobility had to go out to the countryside to get the poor farmers to actually to convince them to vote for them. Like, no. Things were much better under us, right? Oh, yeah, totally. So you should vote for us. It was like the first time in history that they actually had to convince people that they should be in control. It all goes back to the religious and the, the aristocracy.
That's humorous.
Yeah. Well, whatever. So anyway, yes, if I get a call back from one of my guys, I'm gonna have to I'll probably end this session of our Zoom, and then we'll have to restart once I'm done with that conversation.
Have to end the sesh.
Yeah, but I don't know when they'll call, if they'll call or what. So we'll see.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was one of those things where it's like I'm like, it's 9 o'clock at night, I'm ready to go to bed, and all of a sudden I smell gas coming from my stove, and I was like, fuck.
That's not so great.
Yeah, it's always wonderful, ain't it? That's Illinois. You know what? I'll still go with a gas stove over an electric range. I'll tell you, those electric ranges are bullshit. Anywho,
I just use a toaster oven for everything. Cuts out the middleman.
Yes, yeah. Well, you don't have two hungry children that you have to feed.
That's true. My children are very small, and they're also fish.
Yes.
They don't require a stovetop.
So I was looking at I was looking at some news for us to talk about today, and then that all got thrown out with the bathwater. The big news that everybody's losing their goddamn minds over is that there is going to be a Warhammer 40,000 TV show.
That's right. Television program with Henry Cavill. With
Mr. Cavill.
That'll be sweet.
Yes, but I think that the bigger story that's more appropriate to our podcast is that the idiocy, the lunacy of the fandom that's going on. Like,
I mean, who cares about that though?
No. We care about that because that's what's interesting to talk about.
Oh, right. Okay, my bad.
Yeah. But we don't talk about the actual thing. We talk about people's reaction to the thing. We're like a reaction guys when it comes to that. Like what those stupid.
Yeah, you better watch out. Those Fine brothers are gonna arrest or sue us. They copyrighted the word react.
Exactly. No, it's so this goes back always to my whole thing of that fans should just shut up and take what's given to them. They should never comment on anything because their comments are idiotic. They don't matter. Like I always say, like if I comment on something, I go, look, my opinion doesn't matter. I understand that completely.
I think it's more like I fully support anyone who wants to comment on anything. However, they should also very, very much understand that they're just commenting. What they say doesn't matter. Like
Yes.
you can feel free to comment, but like feeling slighted because your opinion doesn't matter, like that is the silly part.
No. That's here's the thing: is it's not that their opinion doesn't matter. It's that they're not taking the fans' opinions and the fans.
Oh yes, the quote unquote fans' opinions.
Yes, and they are the fans. So
I see. Yeah.
And this goes back to the whole Star Wars thing. Have you watched Andor at all, or as I like to call it, Blandor?
It's gonna say Star Wars. No, I don't watch Star Wars shit.
Yeah.
I'll watch I'll probably watch the anime one though, but that's more because I like anime rather than Star Wars.
It's the B beats out over your Star Wars hate.
Yes, exactly.
So the Andor thing is like, why aren't people watching Andor? People should watch Andor. It's this great show. It's everything fans have been asking for. And it's like, if fans were asking for it, wouldn't people be watching it? Kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like
you'd think so. If that's what fans wanted, they'd probably be watching.
So I watched the first episode and it was very slow and boring. And I said, well, why should I watch this? It's super slow and boring. And everyone goes, no. It's a slow burn. I'm like,
you don't understand. You're the one who's wrong here.
Yeah. Well, I am. I'm the one who's always wrong. I fully admit that. But it's like, wait, why should I watch a slow burn? Why would I care about a slow burn? I don't like slow burn TV. I don't like slow burn movies. No. It really ramps up in episode like 5. Like, I'm not going to sit through 5 hours of television to get to something that's going to be worthwhile watching. And even then, does it have lightsabers? Oh, no. It has no lightsabers. Oh, okay. Does it have the Force? No. No Force. Okay. What does it have? Oh, it's got a guy in a prison. Oh, okay. I mean, I'm sure it's good. It's just I just don't care. Like, that doesn't sound like Star Wars to me. Star Wars is like ba bum ba bum ba 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 pew pew pew.
Look, if I can't go, I don't care.
Exactly. And then people were like, no, it's really good. It's like the brown sauce of fucking Star Wars shows. And I'm like, look, man, I don't care about the taste of brown sauce. I just care that the name is fucking stupid.
I like brown sauce.
Yeah, it's what he's saying. Like, I don't give a shit if you like brown sauce. No one fucking said brown sauce was bad. And no one said that you shouldn't like brown sauce. We just said that the name was fucking stupid.
Yeah, the name's
Anywho, I knew that was going to happen too. I think I said that in the podcast numerous times. I don't care that you like brown sauce.
It's entirely possible.
Yeah. But anywho, they were just like, people are always saying that, like, why can't we get an R-rated Star Wars movie about, stormtroopers and the 501st? It's like, because no one fucking wants that. Like, a small, tiny, insignificant portion of the fandom wants that.
Yes.
Anyway, all of that leads up to Henry Cavill being part of the Warhammer 40,000 TV show, which I don't even think Amazon has actually said they're doing yet.
Oh, really? I thought the announcement was that it got greenlit.
No, I'm not 100% sure. This could have changed within the few hours that the news broke, but apparently they're looking to produce a Warhammer 40,000 TV show. Henry Cavill is signed on for it. And I think that they're in like the final stages of agreeing to it, but I'm not 100% sure. The company that's doing it, we'll get back to that in a second. But I just want to say, like, the fandom is going nuts. Yeah, like, oh, they shouldn't do Space Marines. They shouldn't do Space Marines. Steve, please tell the audience they should absolutely be doing Space Marines if they want to be the smart thing.
They're going to do Space Marines. I won't even go so far as to say what they should do. I'm going to tell you that they're going to do Space Marines.
Yeah. What kind of stupid ass fucking studio who has like no idea of what's going on would not do Space Marines in that situation?
Right. It's ridiculous. No, come on. What's wrong with you people?
Yeah. What's wrong with you for even saying it? Well, they should do a guard regiment and have him as a commissar. No.
Yeah, no.
Why would you do something about a military unit like that doesn't exist already? You could watch a million things about military shit. What we want to see We want to see 7-foot tall, genetically enhanced humans shooting bolters and going daka 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 daka
Yes.
daka.
Yes. Now, the only way you could get around that, I suppose, is if you did. So I mean, obviously, I have no idea what the fucking storyline's going to be like. Obviously, but the only way you could do a reasonable, not Space Marine thing is to have a not focused thing where you're covering like a battle. So like example, like it's like Terrace Prime, and then like it does the background of Terrace Prime and this combat situation in Terrace Prime, and then it like does a kind of bouncing around between different characters and like different areas. So like this episode will be like, you know, like the Assassinorum, so it's like a sniper dude, and then like everyone else is happening in the background. So kind of like a show about the Imperium, if you will.
Yeah.
Where it's not super focused, but it's like each episode is moving around to different characters on this same battlefield.
You know, I think that would be a very good idea for like an animated show. But if you have a big star, I mean, Henry Cavill, I mean, that man is incredibly handsome.
It's true. He is fucking handsome as shit.
Yeah. If you have him, your entire show is going to focus on him, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have him in Space Marine armor running around with a bolter shooting it. Like every episode needs to be people going, where's Henry Cavill? We should be watching Henry Cavill. When are they going to get to Henry Cavill? You know?
Oh, that's great. I mean, you know, that's the thing too, is like they might not even like they could do, I guess like another one they could do if they wanted to do a like a more like episode of the week, they could easily do a Death Watch.
I mean, yes, but once again, Death Watch, all Space Marines.
Right. Oh no, that's what I'm saying. Like that's a way to hit multiple notes, because Death Watch, doing a Death Watch show means you could do your Space Marine content and then also have, you know, like Alien of the Week combined.
Yes.
So it's like oh, this episode's about orcs, and it's like, okay, they're fighting orcs, and then you could also have episodes where like they don't kill aliens. Like there's like an Eldar episode where they're like, it's like, all right, we're here to kill Tyranids, so we're not going to kill you right now, Eldar. We're going to kill you later. We're going to take care of these Tyranids right now.
Oh,
you're next.
Are you kidding me? They're going to have chaos cultists because
that's true.
Like let's just look at budget wise.
Yeah, no, it's got to be chaos.
Yeah, they're going to be doing chaos humans or just humans in general. They're not going to be doing orcs or Tyranids or any nonsense.
I mean, it is an Amazon show, so they might do orcs.
They maybe. Depends. You know, it's you're having a show that has, you know, a fascist superhuman race. you know what? Yeah, you maybe want to dial back on some of it. I don't know. But anyway, you definitely like it's not going to be anything other than Space Marines is what I'm going to say. So if you think it's going to be anything other than Ultramarine Space Marines, you're a liar.
Oh, the other option could be a what the fuck is that called? Like an inquisitorial team where they have like a variety. So they have like the guard, like the penal colony guard dude, then they have the Space Marine, and they have like the commissar, and it's just kind of a hodgepodge. That's also something I could see. There's gonna be Space Marine in some capacity. Like,
yeah, I would say that. I would say that's a 10% chance, while 90% chance it's just Space Marines.
Yeah, but it's for sure. Like it's definitely going to be Space Marines. Like where there's no argument there. It's basically, I'm trying to think of like, what kind of Space Marines are we going to get?
It's going to be Ultramarines. It's what it's going to be. It's going to be Ultramarines.
Yeah, you think so? You think it'll be Ultramarines? What if it's Blood Ravens?
It wouldn't be. Well, I mean, it could be Blood Ravens, but I think Ultramarines are pretty much like, this is what.
The only other chapter I could think of would be Blood Ravens.
Yeah, but the only reason is that Dawn of War is so old at this point that you're probably gonna want to get the thing that's on every box, which is Ultramarines.
True. It's a fair point.
Yeah, I not to say that I don't like the Blood Ravens idea. It's just that Dawn of War was the last time a Dawn of War game came out.
Dawn of War 3 was a couple years ago.
Yeah, I mean it was probably 10 years ago at this point.
I don't think it was that long, but it was a while ago.
Yeah, it was definitely a while ago. The fun thing about it though is watching the complete meltdown of fanboys like with it, because I don't know. There's this thing that I've seen lately, and it's part of the reason why I really need to get off of social media in general. I need to get off the internet, aside from my pornography. But I need to get off because I always see this. And I was talking with you about this. I see everything is just a conspiracy, like a media conspiracy.
Everything's a conspiracy.
So like, there's always these preemptive things of like people saying like, oh, this is going to be shit. And then there's people who are immediately reacting to that saying, no, it's going to be great. And they're coming up with all these points to pretty much bash the person who says it's shit.
You know, why don't people watch something before they have already formulated their opinion on it?
Yes,
exactly. That's the one thing I've noticed. You know, and you know what's weird? Here's a weird thing. What you just mentioned. It's super strange, and I don't know. Maybe our listeners can weigh in on this on the Facebook later. But
no, they're just going to talk about how much they like brown sauce, and we're going to be like, "This has nothing to do with brown sauce."
Well, I mean, we can mention brown sauce again, but like, so I've noticed a strange thing, Joe. When someone is like, "This show is going to be shit," when the show comes out, that same person is like, "Whoa, this show is shit." And then I've also noticed when someone's like, "This show is going to be amazing," when the show comes out, that person is like, "Whoa, this show is amazing." Have you noticed that phenomenon? It's so strange.
No, I have not seen that at all.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely like everywhere. It's so ridiculous. It's just like, oh yeah, that's the guy who said it was going to be shit, and it's like, yep, yeah, he has declared it already and has decided that it's going to be shit. Okay.
For me, it's more like Marvel, I think, is the worst offender by this. So like whenever something is like, this is the first time there's been a deaf person in a movie, right? In a Marvel movie, the first deaf superhero. Okay. And then there's like, I feel like there's already a movement before the movie even comes out about people who are saying like,
they're pandering to the woke left.
No, not that. It's actually the opposite. It's more of stars of Robert Downey Jr. comes out and defends this deaf star of this movie against online attacks, and I'm like, I haven't seen any online attacks. It's kind of like a preemptive protection thing, and it's like I don't understand why, like, who would come out and attack a person who's deaf being in a movie? But then again, it's like you never know because it's the internet and people just like being assholes. Except for Star Wars fans. Star Wars fans aren't acting like assholes; they just are assholes. So like you could automatically just assume that there is going to be hate for someone in a Star Wars fandom.
That's true. I think they've pushed at least 3 or 4 actors off social media by now.
Yeah, I mean Star Wars fans are the worst.
Pretty fucking bad.
Yeah, I mean, and 40K fans are probably even worse. I don't know if Amazon really understands how bad.
There's way less of them though, so that's the thing that's going to matter.
Yes, well, and that's the thing too. And I was talking with you about that. Is like, how much of this Henry Cavill likes Warhammer shit was pre-made with the idea that these negotiations were going into effect?
I don't buy it because like he's been a doofy Warhammer stan for like more than a decade at this point. Like this would be if I mean this goes back to the everything is not a conspiracy.
I mean, yes, except for the fact that so the first post showed up during COVID 2020, right? That was the first true Henry Cavill is into Warhammer thing that I could find online. Now, here's actually a little insight into Joe. I actually knew a girl who knew Henry Cavill when he was just getting started in Hollywood, right? She said that he was like kind of like a dumpy little fat kid getting started. Not a fat kid, but he was just like, chunkier. He wasn't like
out of shape.
Yeah, he was not even out of shape. He was just like, not built like he is now. But she said like he was a huge nerd who just played Dungeons and Dragons all the time in World of Warcraft. And, that was confirmed later on when he said that, like I almost missed the call for Superman because I was playing World of Warcraft. I was like,
yeah, it was just like, who else? It was, what was it? Billy Crystal and Robin Williams. They play 40K together. There's definitely, so here's my thing. I think there is definitely a group of actors in Hollywood who all play 40K together. And then there's some of them who just keep it quiet and some of them who don't.
Yes, very much so.
That's what because I mean there's so many like turbo nerd actors like fucking Vin Diesel, turbo nerd, Joe Manganiello, turbo nerd,
Manganiello, come on.
Yeah, Joe Manganiello.
You're gonna offend the Italians.
We don't have any Italian listeners.
I'm Italian.
You're not a listener.
Oh, that's true. I never listen to this podcast. It's terrible.
Me neither. It's awful.
Very crude.
It's very crude. There's so much cussing.
There's cussing. It's crude. These guys don't have even like a brief outline of what they're going to talk about.
Yes, and their opinions are all over the place. And I was listening to one of the episodes from 6 years ago, and their opinion on something changed from the episode 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly. That's the worst. Yes, Joe Manganiello, but he's like very outspoken in that he plays Dungeons and Dragons.
But what I'm saying is, like, because there's all these like obvious like turbo nerds like talking about it, you know that there's like a subgroup of like actors who just don't want to be fucking bothered about it, because I guarantee you, if more younger people like were into Billy Crystal, like they'd be bothering him on Twitter all the time about fucking 40K.
Maybe. Yeah, well, I know Robin Williams was. I mean, the Robin Williams love for 40K is pretty great. And
look at Robin Williams' daughter. She's super into her, Zelda. She's super into video games. Like, she's also a turbo nerd, and she basically left Twitter not because she was being harassed, but because so many people were just asking her stupid fucking questions about video games. She was like, I'm done.
Yeah, I think the. I'm sorry. I have something written down that I wanted to talk about.
Go for it.
Great. But no, I don't want. It's off topic. Yeah. So we all know Billy Crystal. I mean, like when he passed, his daughter was actually posting pictures of his collection, saying like, "What is this? I don't know what this is. Is it worth anything?" And they were like, armor cast Reaver Titans, and everyone was like, "Those are worth a shit ton of money."
Right.
They're actually kind of really nicely painted too. From what I've been told, he didn't actually paint any of his own stuff.
That makes sense.
Yeah, he was more of a he would buy the stuff, and he would have a commission to paint. And you talk to a lot of red shirts who are out in LA or New York, and they will tell you he was in there all the time. He loved little toy soldiers just like all of us do.
Mm.
But yeah, that's the thing is like, well, with Henry Cavill, whenever I see stuff like that, like, he's a guy that is very, very calculated in what he does. I don't see him being very willy-nilly in what he puts out there to the world. Like when he did the whole Blackstone Fortress thing, that was so out of left field. I was like, wait, is this a push for something? Is he trying to convince us of something? But that's just how jaded I am as a human being, I think.
Yeah, I'm still in the sense of like, not everything is a conspiracy. Now, what I did say, look, what we were talking about earlier, I do 100% think that like there was probably someone shopping the 40K show around, and I believe his obvious and very public Warhammer stannery was definitely probably something that put him like immediately in the front running. So that I believe for sure.
Yeah, I could kind of see that. I think he may have been involved at some point, like when he went to Warhammer Studios and did that whole tour thing back in, I think it was May. I was like, that's probably that move was probably a move to get him, because I think the whole thing was designed so that because Warhammer fans are so terrible and horrible human beings, that I think that there was like, we need to prep them for the fact that he's going to be in this TV show, right? Like, we can't just say that he's going to be in the TV show because they'll lose their goddamn mush-driven brains.
Oh, he's not a Warhammer fan.
This man has never picked up a brush in his life. You've never picked up a brush in your life. That's besides the point.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think I think it's more that like Henry Cavill is a mainstream name.
Yeah.
And Warhammer is like almost mainstream. So I think they need someone mainstream to push it to like people who, like my coworkers. My coworkers watch nerd shit because nerd shit is just culture now.
Yes.
But my coworkers are not nerds. So they might watch a Warhammer show, but they're not going to watch a Warhammer show if it has nobody in it.
Yes. That's very true. He's, and he just left The Witcher for season 3. Mm-hmm. Which kind of good, because the last season of Witcher wasn't great. Like, let's be honest.
I only watched the first season, which I really liked.
The first season was good. It was kind of a little wonky. I didn't like the flashbacks and flash forwards. It got kind of confusing to the end. I don't like to be confused when I'm watching TV. I'm just gonna say it. I want to turn off my brain when I'm watching television. I
It's
think enough during the day.
not a bad stance.
Yeah. But anyway, it wasn't terrible. I liked it. I liked a lot of the overarching story. I liked a lot more of the Monster of the Week episodes, and I thought I wish there was more of those.
Yes, absolutely. That was me as well as my favorite parts.
Yeah. And I don't understand why TV shows just can't get back to that. Once again, I blame Hill Street Blues for that. But I wish that they would.
I don't know enough about Hill Street Blues for that to be relevant to me.
In the history of television, as you know, that I am a television historian.
Oh, wait, is Hill Street Blues the one where it's all in the kid's mind?
No, that is St. Elsewhere. No, Hill Street Blues was kind of like the first non-soapy show to really have like overarching seasons, like plots that carried from episode to episode. So, you would have, television up until about the 1980s. What happened one previous week never affected the next week. I mean, I think there was an episode of The Honeymooners where Ralph got fired, and then and then the next week he just had his job back. I'm pretty positive on that one. And the only time like there would be an overarching plot was like in I Love Lucy when she was pregnant, and they brought the pregnancy storyline into the show. But the episodes never really dealt with the pregnancy. They were situations that were kind of built around pregnancy. But the Hill Street Blues was the first one that Hill Street Blues was like the first one that really had an overarching plot that would have like the season-long plot and then like 2 or 3 episode plots, and then it would be like a C plot per episode that they would work through. That really got turned up with the X-Files when they started doing the whole myth arc on the X-Files in the 90s. And then that became the staple of all genre television, was that you would have to have this big over arc with smaller episodes called Monsters of the Week.
Right.
That's where it comes from. It literally comes from the X-Files. The Monster of the Week actually came from Kolchak, the Night Stalker, but the idea of implementing them into a show that had a season-long arc comes to the X-Files. And now television, well, then you have like stuff like Babylon 5. Babylon 5. That built a whole entire show around that there is only the A plot. It's going to be, if you miss one episode, you're going to be fucked. And then you have shows like Star Trek The Next Generation, which is only Monster of the Week episodes. Really Monster of the Week.
There's some meta plot.
There is no meta plot in Star Wars The Next Generation. It's Star Trek The Next Generation.
Yeah, there is.
No, there is not.
There is it's a very loose one, but there's the Klingon stuff that comes back, the Borg stuff comes back. There's a meta plot.
No, those are just Monsters of the Week. Those are like we saw them at one point. These are our villain. And they come back as a Monster of the Week. The
Cardassian stuff. It progresses the story.
The Cardassian stuff didn't happen until much, much later, after the advent of X-Files and Babylon 5 and all that.
Oh, you mean Next Generation? Okay, yes, Next Generation does have two. There's 2 halves to Next Generation. So yes, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Next Generation is mostly Monster of the Week, and then like eventually it starts having that there's some plot here, and then all of those plots end up carrying into and paying out in DS9.
In DS9, which actually was like, hey, this Babylon 5 is actually a really good show.
Yeah, DS9 is a full meta plot Star Trek show.
Yes. Well, once you get to season 2, because season 1 has that one where they go to that Brigadoon planet.
Yeah, season one's kind of rough.
Season 1's a mess.
Yeah, it's a mess.
But yeah, it's I don't even remember where I was getting to it. Oh yeah, so I liked Witcher when it would have the Monster of the Week stuff, because I thought that their overarching plot was kind of terrible. And I guess a lot of other people felt that way too. But then he got pulled away to do the Disney and the War WB stuff again for Superman, and then they kicked him to the curb on that.
The WB. Well, yeah, but they're doing WB. They're doing a full on reboot of the DCU, if I'm not mistaken. And it's going to be James Gunn's DCU, which
could be interesting. I really liked Peacemaker. I thought that was a great show.
It could be good. I mean, I'm not going to say it won't be good. Like James Gunn's pretty solid.
Did you watch Peacemaker?
I didn't. I did. I'm almost finished watching The Suicide Squad.
What are we? Some kind of Suicide Squad? I love it. But yeah, so they did the I hope that they would do something like that for Space Marine, the television show. Highly doubt it, but I don't care. Like, they'll do whatever they want to do, and I will watch it and go, big muscular men in spacesuits. I'm for this.
Yes, exactly. And
I need more mass in my TV shows.
It's true. There's not a lot of swole guys in TV shows anymore.
I know. So won't someone think of the Swole Man?
Yeah, I mean, like, the problem is we got to be careful lest the next swole man become another Sorbo.
Oh, Sorbo. Disappointed.
I'm really Sorboed with Sorbo.
I'm Sorboed on Sorbo right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the swole guy. We need that. And I need, like, I want mindless violence with my Warhammer TV show.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like whenever you play a 40K video game and you're always like, oh, sweet, this is a game where they're fighting the orcs. And it's like, I guarantee you at the end of this, it's going to be chaos behind the orc invasion. And sure enough, it is. Like, that's what it's going to be. There's going to be some sort of invasion. It's going to be like, I bet you chaos is behind this. Oh, look, it's chaos.
It was chaos.
It was chaos the entire time. Oh, man. But yeah, I'm excited to watch it. I would be excited. I think Henry Cavill is a decent actor. I still think about when he cocks his arms in Mission Impossible 5. Think about that moment every day. It's
Nice.
wonderful. He's got that mustache and he just cocks his arms like they're guns.
Fantastic.
It's everything I ever wanted in a movie, in a movie right there. And I really liked him in what was that called? The Man from U.N.C.L.E. I thought that was a fantastic movie.
I never watched Man from U.N.C.L.E., but I also never watched the original Man from U.N.C.L.E. So,
Well, I never watched the Man from U.N.C.L.E. TV show because I'm not my father. Because he was the guy who was watching Man from U.N.C.L.E. No, I watched the movie because I like Guy Ritchie and I actually like Cannibal Army Hammer.
more like Guy Bitchy. Whoa.
Yeah, and admitted Cannibal Army Hammer. So it's just it's a wonderful movie, and I enjoyed it. But anywho, so we're gonna stop here and we're gonna restart for the podcast for the next half. So Steve, how would you like to lead us out?
After these messages,
We'll be right back.
And now back to the show.
Peppa Squigs.
Peppa Squigs. That's fucking great.
That's what was making me laugh earlier. I forgot about that.
That is fantastic. It's super good.
Those are 3D prints that you could make for Peppa Squigs.
They're great. They look perfect.
They look exactly like you want.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the good old fashioned Peppa Pig, but it's in squig form this time.
Just put your lips together and blow.
Oh, it's good. You know what kids are all into now is Bluey. So
yes, yeah,
Peppa Pig is
my niece is absolutely into Bluey.
Yes, the era of Peppa Pig is over. The era of Bluey has begun.
The funny part about it is that she's so into Bluey, she randomly starts speaking with an Australian accent.
Yeah, it's true. And she calls you the C word all the time too.
It's great because it'll be like Griffin, do you want a banana? And she'll be like, no. It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, my youngest he's into Bluey now, so he actually went and saw the Bluey live stage show recently.
Oh.
Yeah, and then but my oldest is really into Phineas and Ferb right now.
Ooh, Phineas and Ferb's good.
Phineas and Ferb is pretty good. I do enjoy when she walks into a room and goes, "What you doing?"
Yes. I like Phineas and Ferb. I fucking love Dr. Doofenshmirtz. He's the best thing in that show.
Yes, he very much is the best thing in that show. Good guy all around too.
Yeah, he's even voiced some really hilarious memes. Oh, for real? Just like that? On God? he's like all the popular memes that people have made with Doofenshmirtz. Eventually, someone goes around and either cameos or he does it on his own to voice the meme. It's really funny. And then the other one that's great is from Jimmy Neutron. They got a Hugh Neutron, and he's got a Yu-Gi-Oh! Dual Disc. And,
yeah.
He's got the blue eyes white dragon behind him. It says, and it looks like you're going to the Shadow Realm, Jimbo. Well, the voice actor for Hugh Neutron, someone just tweeted at him. They're like, "Could you voice this?" And he's like, "Yeah, okay." And now there's like a full clip with like some animation. He's like, "Oh, looks like you're going to the Shadow Realm, Jimbo." It's fucking great.
A bunch of unwashed masses playing Yu-Gi-Oh are really into it.
It's funny. You don't have to play Yu-Gi-Oh to love the Yu-Gi-Oh memes. They're hilarious.
You don't have to.
Yu-Gi-Oh is old as fuck now. I didn't even think about it, but Yu-Gi-Oh came out in like the mid '90s.
Yes, Yu-Gi-Oh did come out in the mid '90s, at least in Japan,
crazy.
right? It didn't really hit the U.S. later.
It hit the U.S. a little bit later, but like, yeah, like there was like, I mean, there was the fan subbers, so like it hit the weeb community around the same time that it hit Japan. Yeah, I think the first card game stuff, if I remember correctly, was printed in '96.
Oh, okay.
So
that is a long time ago.
Yeah, interesting note about Yu-Gi-Oh! The manga was about just games in general, and that this was at the start of like the CCG boom happening.
Yes.
And so one of the episodes, I guess, or one of the issues, I don't know what the fuck you call them, one of the Tankoban was about a card game, because like everything else was just like various games, and one was about a card game. And that arc was so popular, like literally everyone writing into the Shonen Jump just stopped asking about anything other than the card game. So he's like, all right, well, I guess we're gonna do a card game manga. So we didn't start as a card game manga, and then it turned into a card game manga.
Well, yeah, there you go. Speaking of well, actually, this has nothing to do with it. It's slightly tangential. The only thing that works with it is the fact that it is also a game. I did want to talk about the new Dungeons and Dragons Dragonlance set that came out. So we had talked about that previously. Like they had announced that Dragonlance was coming out. It was going to be a new supplement. But what I didn't know was that they were going to release that deluxe set that they did.
Yes, that comes with a copy of the Warriors of Kryn.
I was like, what? So it's the deluxe set, comes with the book, of course, the Dragon Master screen, and it comes with the game all attached to it, which was pretty interesting because I think that they really encouraged you to play the board game to like fight out the bigger battles that were going on around the same time. At the same time as
it's a mass battle game too. So like you could actually just like use it in your campaign if you want to do a mass battle.
Yeah, which is interesting. I don't know if that would necessarily work out when playing. I was trying to think of like, could that happen in an actual?
I haven't played the board game, so I can't comment on if it's like a good mass battle system or not. But it's possible.
You know what I was thinking would be kind of a fun thing to do. When I was thinking about this is how it all comes about, because I've been playing Battle Masters with my kids lately, and I was thinking like Battle Masters is kind of the perfect game to like show your player group in like a massed battle, right? So I was thinking like how could you show that? Like your guys get recruited into an army. How would you show them like fighting with this massive army against the bad guys? And I think Battle Masters is kind of like the perfect way of doing it.
It's actually funny that you mention that, because I actually recently just found my copy of Battle Masters.
Yeah, I would suggest playing it because it is a fantastic game.
I haven't gone through to see if it's a complete. It usually is like, so basically here's the rule of thumb for how all of my stuff goes. If no one else in my family has touched it, it's complete, because I was very fastidious with my collections and like my game stuff. However, if anyone else in my family has touched it at any point between my ownership and now, there's parts missing.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. My set was not in the best condition, but that's because it traveled from like 16 different houses and places, and then I got that when all those old people died and they had those mass sales of their collections recently. I found that box that had like 2 complete copies in it, and I was like, ooh, these are excellent. So I have like 3 full sets of Battle Masters currently, which is nice.
That's pretty rad.
Yeah. But I was thinking like what you could do is you could literally take one of those trays and put the character figures on that tray and like show them in the battle, like as it's moving around.
Yep,
and I
absolutely.
think that would work really well with kind of, playing it out. You could have you could play both sides, and you just have your players kind of working as their base, or they could go run off and join another unit to go help on a flank or something like that.
Yep, absolutely.
I was thinking that could work. That could be potentially a good way of doing it. Only problem with that is that Battle Masters is one of the ultimate floor games. So you'd have to have all your players playing on the floor like a savage.
Yes, you have to play on the floor like a savage to play Battle Masters this year.
Yes, you're like what's his face? Like Grand
Peter
Moff
Cushing?
Tark. Yeah, you're like Peter Cushing playing on the floor like a
That's
goddamn
right.
savage.
Like a savage.
I still want to know what happened to Peter Cushing's collection after his death.
I'm sure it went to someone.
I bet you it did too, but I would like to know the pedigree of where it went.
I would be willing to bet it either went to his gaming club or it went to someone he knew personally who gamed with him. That would be my guess.
Probably. I wonder what his gaming club was.
Probably a bunch of old British dudes.
The North Yorkshire Dandies. Dandy Club.
It's not the Northampton Wargamers though.
No, it's not. No.
Shout outs to Northampton Wargamers. Shout out to Hamish. Shout out to Hamish's mom.
Yes. No. These are the North Yorkshire Dandy Club.
The North Yorkshire Dandies.
Yeah, the North Yorkshire Dandies. Not to be confused with the South Yorkshire Dandies, which was another gaming club at the time. Both of them did play above the same pub, though.
Oh my, it's a lot of dandyism.
It's a lot of dandyism. But yes, I think that it probably, you're probably right. It did go to his club, but what I would like to know, because that's one of those things that's like, I would like to own a piece of Peter Cushing's collection at some point. I guarantee you, it probably is not an expensive buy. If like someone was selling off the figures for it, you could probably find those relatively cheap.
He probably had a fucking massive collection.
Well, like everyone did, yeah.
Yeah. So I imagine like getting like one tank or like one.
He didn't have tanks. He had his were all Napoleonics.
Napoleonic. Okay, so then a couple horsemen.
Yes. Guys like him only played Napoleonics unless there was like a very, very specific war that he would like, maybe Anglo, maybe like the Zulu War stuff, you know.
No, he was definitely Napoleonic because I remember he had the video. It was all Napoleon guys.
But you don't know. He might have had some Zulu figures. He might have had some maybe War of 1812. Not War of 1812. Revolutionary War stuff. Maybe 7 Years War. Some like not obscure war, but some like lesser war. But more than likely, it was just Napoleonics.
Ah, yes, my friend. But this time, the Yanks will lose.
Look at my horsey go.
Look at my horsey.
I just like to see Peter Cushing on the floor going pa-doo, pa-doo, pa-doo.
Oh, making sound effects? Oh, yes. Yeah.
Because if you don't make sound effects when you're playing these games, are you even playing?
You're not.
Exactly.
I posit that you are not.
Yes. So the some other stuff I did want to talk about. At least Games Workshop is put out their plastic Angron.
Well, Games Workshop is putting out all right.
Yeah, they are. It's pretty cool looking. I did like the new what's from Workshop as well. Their new Lord of the Rings battle game came out.
It's a good price. It was like a little over $200 for a lot of figures.
Yeah, a lot of figures that are 40 years old at this point.
Yeah, they get the job done.
Yeah. Well, I was talking, I think I've mentioned this on a podcast before about how 3D printing like would change the game for Lord of the Rings because there's such good Lord of the Rings people, like they're sculptors who are putting us stuff out that's far better than anything Games Workshop has produced. You know, Games Workshop is always talking about how, or I shouldn't say Games Workshop stands are always talking about how 3D printing is going to ruin the hobby. But you would think that if there was such pressure on Games Workshop from the 3D printing community, they would update their fucking sculpts. But no, they're never going to update those sculpts. They make so much money off those.
Yes.
And I think probably they don't actually make that much money off of them because they probably owe so much to New Line.
Does New Line still exist? Can you still owe money to New Line?
It's whoever owns the rights to the Lord of the Rings movies at this point.
I see.
Whoever owns New Line Cinema. Let's see. Let's be that thing that searches online while we're doing our podcast.
Yes, it's riveting. Let's go.
Riveting.
I think
it's owned by Warner Brothers at this point. So you'd be spending money. You'd be giving money to Warner Brothers so they can update their DC universe.
Yes, and so they can lose more money.
Yeah, exactly. They've
been getting their shit wrecked with like all of their horrible business decisions, which is funny.
Yes, I mean, let's be fair. Everything that they canceled is not really that great. So
It doesn't matter. They're fucking that fucking dildo guy was supposed to like be like, I'm gonna cut 3 billion and blah blah blah, and he's like, and his cuts have lost them like 20 billion or some shit. I don't know. It's ridiculous. It's funny.
Know.
It's funny.
It's funny when it's funny. Funny
It's
like
funny.
a big hat.
It's funny like a big hat. You look at it and you laugh.
Oh, that's the thing I wanted to talk about. I'm glad I was able to remember this. So have you? I'm sure you who are on the distribution side has noticed Target is selling Dungeons and Dragons shit for like super cheap right now. Have you seen this?
I have not. I have not seen that they're blowing it out. I mean, Target's always been a thorn in the local retailer side when it comes to D&D, because they frequently get exclusives and also do early like release shit early. Like they're frequently mentioned as like an enemy of the people.
Enemy of the people. Oh, can we storm the Bastille or storm the Target?
Storm the Target.
How about we storm the Starbucks that's inside the Target?
Oh yeah, I could go for an oat milk latte.
Oat milk latte.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, they're selling, most of the books are selling there for like $20. It's like a ridiculously cheap price for the Dungeons and Dragons books. And I was wondering if you had a comment on that.
Well, the big one was I think this is related to the every year holiday blowout that happens.
It could be.
If you followed Amazon, they were also selling like around Black Friday time. They were also selling D&D books for around that price. Just massive blowouts. But this happens every year around the same time. They just like filter and dump a bunch of product. Why do they do it? I don't fucking know. But like every year it happens, and it's like people forget because it happens every year, and they're just like
insert Mr. Krabs meme. Money.
Yes, money. Yeah. But yeah, people forget. It's not it's just a thing. It's no big deal. Like we'll be having the same conversation again next year.
I mean, maybe. I don't think I've ever seen like retail going that cheap as opposed to like
that is unusual for Target, I believe, but my supposition is that it's related.
I mean, granted, this is the time when they would be deep discounting stuff so that they could sell it for Christmas.
Mm.
But I mean,
now maybe we won't be having this conversation next year, because maybe the 6th edition Player's Handbook, Monster Manual, and DM's Guide will be out by then.
It's not 6th edition, Steve. Don't call it 6th edition. You'll curse it.
Maybe 6th edition will be out by then.
It's not even a 5.5. It's Dungeons and Dragons 1.
I know, it's so funny. It's so funny watching them try and like do the marketing spin of something they're just so terrified of.
Yes,
and
they really are terrified of it.
Because I was talking to Angel about this, and like the new thing, and this is starting with the D&D movie, is they're trying to, because and I've talked about this on the cast before, but like one of the biggest problems from the selling side as like a retailer for Dungeons and Dragons in general is that the only players who spend any fucking money in your store are DMs.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That was the other thing that I wanted to talk about. Shit, forgot about that.
Yeah, the only people who spend money at your store are DMs. It's pretty consistent across the board. Like players are the cheap asses. They'll buy like, if you have a group of like 5 D&D players at your store, the DM will buy every book, possibly buy miniatures, accessories, so on and so forth. He will become a spender. The 4 other people will maybe buy a soda from you every now and then. Otherwise, they just take up space in your store and don't spend money. And that is the same on a macro level. It's the same way. They don't buy anything from Amazon or anywhere. Like they just don't spend any money. Players are notoriously just fucking cheap asses.
Yes.
So they have to figure out a way to monetize those players. How do you monetize people who don't spend money? Because you're not going to be able to monetize them by selling them books, because they don't fucking buy books, because their DM buys the books. So the D&D movie is the first prong of attempting to consistently monetize players.
It was basically, there was an article that came out, I think it was last week, where they were talking about how Wizards of the Coast Hasbro basically saying that we're leaving money on the table by not like reaching out with the Dungeons and Dragons brand. It has a huge brand name appeal to it. And it's super popular right now with Stranger Things and it just mass appeal. Like
and D&D's fucking gigantic. D&D is so big. People are it's at the phase where like there aren't RPG players that exist. There are D&D players that exist.
Yeah.
Like that is the thing. Like because you can't suggest that they try another RPG because other RPGs aren't on the table.
Exactly.
No, I'm a D&D player.
You are absolutely correct in that I was just talking about that there is no such thing as an RP, like Dungeons and Dragons players are not RPG players at this point. There is a subset of Dungeons and Dragons players who are other RPG players, but the vast majority of Dungeons and Dragons players are just Dungeons and Dragons players.
Correct.
So they're saying we're leaving money on the table because the only people that are really buying Dungeons and Dragons material for the game are the dungeon masters, because as you and I know that Dungeons and Dragons books are basically divided into three kind of separate categories. There's your core books, which are usually what is and out of those core books you probably as a player need, let's say that there's 6 core books right now. As a player you probably need 2 to 3 of them, right? As a DM you'd need all 6. And then you have the campaigns, which are, those have all of the that's where that's what the DMs are really gonna buy, because if they want to play the campaigns, but they're not mandatory, because if you're doing a homebrew, you don't need the campaign stuff. Though I like it, like the one shots and campaigns. And then you have also with that, you have the supplemental guides to the campaigns, which are usually like monster manuals or stuff like that you'd have that would supplement your campaigns. Also, even less necessary for a DM to buy. So like in reality, out of all the D&D stuff that's actually produced, the vast majority of players would only need to buy 2 out of the 32 books that are currently available for Dungeons and Dragons.
Right.
Like if you're playing, you really only need the player's guide and Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. Yes. Like that's pretty much it.
Yes.
So what they're looking at ways of monetizing it outside of that, out of that
books.
way. Yeah. Out of the books.
They want to squeeze more money out of players who aren't spending any money.
So what they're really looking at is like, how are we going to make it online with apps to play on your phone?
Yep. Yeah. So one they've got their strategy with one being like mostly they're going to be pushing the app really hard. That's like the first one of the first prongs. They want people spending consistent return money. So like subscription fee or whatever.
Yeah, they're looking at how can we make this into a subscription.
Yeah, a subscription fee based system.
Sorry, I was drinking pop at that time when I was trying to get that out. That thought out.
So they're trying to make the subscription fee system. They want to increase, repeat revenue. Like that's what they want. Repeat revenue. How do you make repeat revenue that isn't book based? Because if they tried to do the everyone should buy multiple books thing with 4th edition.
Yes, they did.
It blew up in their fucking face because players are cheap asses and just didn't buy the books.
They are very cheap.
No, that's literally what happened too. Like they just be like, I ain't gonna buy those books. So then what happened is you just put even more strain on your DMs because they had to buy every book still, and then they had to buy more books because the release schedule was way more frequent.
Yeah. And
not good.
Yeah, 2nd edition, you would have I like looking at 2nd edition, you would need the player's guide for sure, player's handbook. Then you would probably want to get the 2 brown books for your race and your class. Right? So that's 3 right there. And then maybe if you're like a wizard, you might want to buy the spell books, or a cleric, you might want to get the prayers books. Stuff like that, which was always cool. And they do have that for Dungeons and Dragons. They have spell cards and stuff like that, but a lot of that stuff's not put out by Hasbro. A lot of that stuff's put out by a Gale Force 9 or something that's licensing it.
Yeah, there's a lot of licensing. Like your Wizards doesn't make the minis, WizKids makes the minis.
Yeah,
stuff like that.
WizKids makes the minis. Yeah, there's official Dungeons and Dragons dice, but you could buy dice fucking anywhere.
Yeah.
So you really don't need much. Oh, by the way, you know what I bought? I bought that the Dragon Shield player's case.
Oh yeah, the cases, aren't they nice?
Those are super nice. I got it on sale on Black Friday, and it was I think I paid like $35 for it, and it's super nice. You know what it's actually really nice for? I'm going to talk Grognard for just a second. We're playing Stargrave with the gaming group, and it's really nice to keep track of my Stargrave warband.
Oh yeah, absolutely, I can see that.
And you can and since you're only playing with 10 figures, you can put the Stargrave figures into
Toss the figures in there.
slot. Yeah. So
Nice.
that's the nice thing about it. Like that's super grognardy of me though. It's like I'm not using this for Dungeons and Dragons. I'm using it for Stargrave.
I mean, that's you know, it's just showing that case is a versatile queen.
It really is. But yeah, I didn't buy the Dungeon Master one. It was I didn't feel like it was necessary.
Well, I mean, it's I believe it's necessary if you're a DM like very frequently. It's super nice.
Yes. So anyway, back to the Dungeons and Dragons one thing. Yeah, they're really gonna push it with toys. With you look at Target, and I think this is where the whole thing came from. You could look at Target and type in Dungeons and Dragons, and you could see the vast amount of shit that they're putting out for Dungeons and Dragons that are not related to the actual RPG itself. So like you could type in Dungeons and Dragons, and for their home thing, they got like D20 fleece throws and posters and t-shirts,
toys, accessories, all sorts of like additional content.
Yeah, like tons of stuff. So you could see that it's actually, and which is fine to me. I like if I could find stuff to decorate my house with Dungeons and Dragons, I'm all about it.
That gelatinous cube toy from the movie is going to be a fucking smash hit. There's going to be so many people who buy that thing.
Those D20 Transformers are really cool. I like look.
Yeah, the Dicelings, they're very popular.
I'm a fully grown adult, and I'll be the first person to admit I love all of this stuff. Am I going to buy the Dungeons and Dragons slow cooker? No. Am I going to buy the Dungeons and Dragons tankard for $10? Yes.
Right.
You know, like that's the type of stuff that I'll get. I'll get like little stupid shit that I could put on my desk at work.
And I could see you picking up maybe the D20 Transformer Beholder.
I'm buying that one for sure. Like yeah there's no way I'm not doing that one. Did you see the mini dice dungeon that they have?
No.
It's fucking great. It's like a little dungeon that you could put your dice in if they did bad.
Oh, that's great. That's
and I already had that. Like I'm notorious for doing that while playing minis games. If I have bad dice, they go into the dice jail and they don't come out until they start performing.
That's funny.
Yes, I firmly believe that it's not my strategy. It's only the dice. It's not my rolling. It's not my strategy. Yep. It's not the fact that I picked probably the worst combinations of figures to play in my army. It's all the dice's fault.
Yeah, it's the dice.
Why aren't they rolling 6s on 6s?
It's the dice.
It's the dice's fault. But yeah, they have like a little dungeon, mini dice dungeon. And then it says it comes with little cards that say, I made my adventurer shoot his fellow party member in the back with an arrow. I made our party's animal companion fly off a tavern table when my player attempted a vanity flip on said table, and it cost her 1d4 damage. Which I think is fun, and I'm going to buy that as well.
Yes, you're in dice jail.
Yes. And did you see the classic toys that they have coming out for Dungeons and Dragons?
I didn't.
They're doing all of the cartoon figures, but like super like really nice posable.
Oh, nice. Yeah, because the only toy line stuff I saw was all related to the movie, which they all look good.
Yeah, but these from the classic ones are all real expensive. Like these are like $30 figures.
Okay, so this is more of like a collectible. This is more of a collector's item rather than an action figure.
Yes, but what's cool about them is that each one comes with a different size die.
Ooh.
So when you get the whole set, you'd have your entire dice collection.
See, now that's clever.
You know, and one would think in listening to this podcast, it's like, why are Joe and Steve liking this shit? This is all kiddie shit. You know what? This is the stuff that we would kill for as kids. Like,
right? Yeah. Are you kidding me? If this was around when I was getting like my Al Qadim adventures on, holy shit, I would have been losing my mind.
Yeah, exactly. Like, is it any surprise that Joe, who has a massive collection of second edition Dungeons and Dragons stuff, I'm talking probably one of the largest collections in the Midwest. Probably not. There's some dude. There's definitely some dude in Wisconsin who's not on social media or on the internet at all, who just he's got 100%. That guy exists, and he's in Wisconsin. You are correct. But who has a very large collection would not be geeking out over getting, fun tchotchkes for Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes, exactly.
I'm totally, but I'm also that guy that looks at it and is like, Cleric cards. Nah, I'm not gonna waste my money on that. Dungeons and Dragons Tankard. Yes.
Yeah, I don't do. I'm a big fan of. So here's actually, it's funny you mentioned this because accessories are actually on my mind lately because I'm working on some stuff for the Conan RPG.
Dun, dun,
And
dun.
the Conan RPG sells these little cards, which are not normally something I buy. I don't normally buy the game specific accessories because I just like making my own because it's easy. You take some magic cards, you print out your own custom cards on sticker paper, and you make your own.
Yeah.
For stuff that's in the book. But the Conan cards are stuff they're unique to the cards. There's one that's just like it's like a quick encounters thing. You flip 3 cards and you make like a scenario. There's stuff like that. So like those are actually like useful accessories. So I'm a big fan of that style. But for anything that's in the game already, like I'll just make my own. So that's why I wouldn't buy stuff like the cleric cards, but I would buy stuff like the chase deck for Pathfinder, which is really cool. The chase deck for Pathfinder is instead of doing like rolls and stuff, or instead of just doing flat rolls for a chase scenario in your tabletop RPG, you bust out the chase deck and you just start flipping cards from the top.
What do you think about the fact that the Conan RPG is ending and going to Monolith?
Monolith. So I'm a bit sad because I've been collecting the Modiphius RPG. I'm a bit happy because that means I'm going to have a complete collection soon.
Yes.
Which is cool. It's right now I'm like, do I just buy the rest off of Amazon right now, or do I wait for the inevitable blowout sale? And I think I'm going to wait for the inevitable blowout sale.
Yeah, they're gonna have a blowout sale soon.
Yeah, so because that blowout sale, I think is pretty certain that's going to be inevitable. I'm just going to wait for that. So I think I trust Monolith will do a good job. I like their board game. I have the board game. I bought it for the Modiphius 2D20 system, and it's also very humorous because Modiphius actually produced a 2D20 book for Monolith. Like it lets you convert all of the Monolith content to the 2D20 rule set.
Yeah.
Which is great. And I trust they'll do a good job. Will I buy the Monolith RPG? No, absolutely not. And not because I don't think it's going to be good. It'll probably be great, and it's going to tie into their board game content because they're doing a refresh thing of the board game, and I think that's fantastic. It's just I have the Modiphius one, and I don't really feel the need to buy a completely separate RPG system when I have which is when I already own a system that's using one of my favorite systems that exists, 2D20. So I wouldn't buy it. Yeah. But I think if you didn't spring on the 2D20 Modiphius game and you're interested in Conan, I would absolutely just wait for the Monolith one because I think it'll be fantastic.
Yeah. And I also wanted to mention on that as well that the Star Wars RPG game, which was previously from Fantasy Flight, is actually getting redone. I had the person the company that's doing it. I lost it off the top. But if you like that system, which actually I kind of did too, it's I really like their character building and all that fun stuff. But yeah, that's getting reprinted. So it's the same old one that Fantasy Flight had.
All right.
Yeah. We're getting towards the end here, Steve. So is there any other game and stuff that we want to talk about?
I mean, I've been playing a lot of Cardfight Vanguard on Steam.
Ooh, on Steam, have you?
Yeah, they released a game. So I'm pretty excited about. So it's people are bitching about the price because it's a full price video game, but it's an actual like game, like it has everything. So like one of the problems with like liking card games is a lot of times when they do the digital version of the card game, they always release it as like a gacha version. So it's like, oh yeah, you have to just spend real money to get fake booster packs, and like, you know, the grind for your money is, you know, essentially infinite. Like MTG Arena, like you have to keep spending money in MTG Arena to stay relevant. Like there's no choice because you want to get the new cards. So what this one is, you buy the game and then all of the cards are earned in the game.
Oh.
So it's like you get when you win fights, you get fake game money, and then you use the fake game money to buy booster packs in the game. And there's no way to buy fake game money with real money. It's just inside the game. So
that sounds good.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of that. I've been playing it a lot. I think it's really fun. I think if you were ever interested in Cardfight Vanguard and you want a really good way to play it without having to spend, you know, without getting into the perpetual spend that card games have, I would strongly advise it. It's got a fun story. The tutorial mode's great. There's a decent amount of people playing it online. It's good. That's what I've been doing with most of my tabletop game time.
Yeah, I've been working on stuff for Silver Bayonet.
Yeah, you got your. Do you have your werewolf with a Napoleon hat yet?
No, I did do some sculpting with some zombies though, and gave them all like tricorn hats and all that fun stuff. It was
nice.
I've been playing around with that, but actually it's been a good idea. It's been a good way of deep diving into some 3D printing files that I had that I've never really even touched. So like I've been working with them and trying to figure out which ones are best for the game. I think there are some obvious misses, like huge misses, and in the game. Like there's no Frankenstein. Like where's my Frankenstein? Like there's no Frankenstein in this damn game.
That is a huge miss.
Exactly. I can imagine maybe there'll be a Egyptian supplement where I can put some mummies in there, but there are no mummies in this game.
Ooh,
no
mummies.
Frankensteins. There's no creatures from the Black Lagoon.
Outrageous.
I know. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of like Eastern European, or not Eastern European, but like Central European stuff like goblins, but there's no kobolds. So
that's also outrageous.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's mostly about just putting your Napoleonic figures on the table so that they can shoot at each other, but occasionally have to fight a goblin.
Nice.
Yes, it's very much the stuff that that Grand Moff Tarkin would be upset about, because he would be like, "Why are there goblins in this game, Christopher? Don't put your goblins on the table."
Well, I wanted to use the goblins today.
Goblins aren't real.
What? Napoleon is dead.
Napoleon, exactly. He lost.
He lost, and he's dead.
Now move the goblin.
Now accept my goblins.
Accept my goblins. Exactly. But it's a fun game. One day I would like to really go into deep dive into all of the Joseph McCullough games. I might do it on I would love to. I was thinking about what I really want to do is I want to do like a YouTube video series where I just kind of deep dive into these kind of side games that not a lot of people talk about. But I figure if anything's going to be listened to less than the Game Classy podcast, it's me ranting about a very obscure game that barely any people play or even heard of.
It's probably accurate.
Exactly. All right, then. So go to the Game Classy Facebook page. It's the best way that you can get in contact with us against our own will, because it's the worst system in the world.
It's fucking awful.
You
know what we should do? We should make an email address.
Well, we had one, but no one ever emailed us. We should make a Discord is what we should make.
We should make a Discord, but also, I mean, I had no idea we had an email address. So
we had one at one point, but I stopped paying for it because I didn't want to pay for it because no one ever used it.
Oh, just do a Gmail, bro.
No, I mean, it's also hard to check the Gmail on a regular basis. That's why I said we should just get a Discord. It makes it so much easier.
We could get a Discord. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Maybe we'll set up a Discord at some point, because I'll tell you what, Zuckerberg's got to be so happy right now that Elon Musk has taken the crown of shitty social media head.
Oh man, it is hilarious. Watching Twitter just explode has been really funny.
Yeah, you got to have Zuck's got to be input correct. Thank the maker.
Pleasure center activated.
I am human.
I am very human. Zuckerberg.
If you'd like to get in contact with us, you could. If you like to follow us, you could also follow me on Instagram, which is at Game Classy Joe. You can follow Steve at command_throw. Other ways you could help out the podcast is comment, subscribe on the iTunes, and you could comment, subscribe on the YouTubes, which we also put it up there every week.
Yes, I also have a Tumblr and a bunch of other stuff. Maybe I'll drop my. You know what I'll do? When, as a celebratory event, when Twitter dies, I will drop all of my various socials on the Classy Facebook page.
There you go. So until the next time, Steve.
Shit. What's that fucking I got a good one. Home is where the heart is, but the stars are made of platinum.
La la la.
Game Classy.